She is a financial planner and advisor.
He's the founder and president of Zinnia Wealth Management. He's also a popular radio host.
There's a way to have the money in the market and have protected growth.
This holistic approach will help people get to and through retirement.
Absolutely.
You have to change the way that you think. It's not about having these double-digit returns anymore. Things are changing, and you have to have an advisor that's keeping up with the changes.
Your outcome is going to become very desirable if you have some sort of coach helping you along the way.
And our next recipient from the Media and Communications XP, Charisse.
Charisse Rivers.
Do not have to risk all your money in the market to survive, because it's about the retirement dream.
Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk, home of Zinnia Wealth Management's Facebook Live edition every Wednesday at 3:30. I'm your host, Charisse Rivers, and I'm going to get you through the next 30 minutes. My main goal is to educate you, inspire you, and teach you how to get to retirement and beyond. Let me give you a quick game plan. We are going to talk about a market update real quick, what's happening in North and Central Florida. We are going to do our fun quiz. Remember, you got to answer all four. If you get all four right, you get a check sent to your church of choice or charity of choice. So hopefully you guys want to play that game today. And then we're going to talk about the 3 biggest risks in retirement and how to prepare for them, because these are some things that if you're 5 to 10 years before retirement, if you kind of pick up what I'm putting down today, you're going to start planning the right way, because when you retire, you want to retire right, and you don't have any room for error. So we want to definitely focus in on that. And don't forget, towards the end, I have a travel trip of the week and a huge discount that you can get locally. Okay, so let's talk about the stock market. S&P hit an all-time new high, 3,400. We're over that now as of today. Dow Jones is as high as it was 6 months ago. So things are coming back into play. People are getting excited. People are calling me, do I buy Tesla? Do I buy, Apple? And so I want to give you my disclosure at this point. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I don't work for Social Security. I don't work for Medicare. And I am not advising you on my show. If you want advice, or a second opinion, you need to come in and see us or do a conference call. I'm giving you some basic information just to kind of get your whistle wet and get you kind of thinking moving forward. And so S&P 500, the big 6. You guys know what the big 6 are. Basically, they're close to those FANG stocks. That is what's pulling up the S&P 500. There's 500 companies in the S&P 500, and there's 6 that's just making it go up. So a lot of people out there are probably thinking, gosh, the S&P's hit an all-time high. The Dow Jones, remember the Dow Jones doesn't have 500. They're under 30, right? Stocks inside of it. So if you don't own those stocks individually, your accounts probably aren't going back to even yet. So you have to be patient, and everything's looking good on the outside. Remember, the economy is not the same thing as the stock market, and the two aren't making sense. The economy is not doing so great. We're still in a recession, but the stock market keeps rising. I don't know. Sounds like an anomaly to me. Fastest V-shaped recovery we've ever seen in history. So, I just tell people, be careful. This is the time to be careful. If you're nearing retirement, you're in your retirement red zone, that 5 to 10 years before retirement, just make sure the dollars you're living on in the short term, in the next couple of years, or something you're getting ready to purchase in the next couple of years, they are not in the stock market, because if it does tumble, you don't want to take big losses, especially before retirement. So let's move on here. So, hey, did everybody know that you can get rapid tests for the COVID-19 now and find out in 10 minutes? And so they have them in Gainesville and Ocala, the villages, so they're in select locations. But boy, have they made it fast and convenient to do so. Fed policy. So Jerome Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow. So they're going to be talking about inflation and what the plan is there. So I think people are feeling optimistic about what he's going to say. So it's kind of bumped up our stock market today, if you haven't noticed. And so pay attention. I'll definitely follow up on that. Next thing, let's talk about Republicans versus Democrats. I am getting a lot of calls, and people are saying, Charisse, the election's on, right around the corner, November 3rd. Should I be more conservative? Should I be risky? What I would say about this is Warren Buffett says it best. Don't mix politics with finances, right? And so if you have a plan, stick to your plan. Because there's times where Republicans, the stock market goes up and it goes down. And when a Democrat zone, the stock market goes up and it goes down. And it's a matter of fact, and quite interestingly enough, when there's a Democratic administration, we've seen markets go up. So again, you can't listen to all the noise. We don't really know what's going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. All I have to say is make sure you have a plan. And if you're nervous about the election, that tells me you have not gotten anything in writing and you don't understand your plan. And that's why you get a second opinion. Okay, so let's be careful of that. All right, stimulus package. Everybody's on vacation, so we still don't know what's going to happen there. So we are on hold with the stimulus package. So hopefully they will do something sooner than later. Let's jump into Governor DeSantis. So basically he says, hey, the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, guess what? They're going to have one Dolphin game and they're going to have one University of Miami game, kind of give everybody something to look forward to, give them some high hopes. I really hope it sticks, but that's all we know so far. And so that's a big deal. I think that place is going to be flooded. I'm really curious how they're going to kind of separate people. I'm sure every third seating, who really knows? And we have some great news. COVID has gone down by over 50% in inpatient hospital visits, which is wonderful. So it's creating a lot of optimism and why the market is also going up. So happy to see that. School back in force in Marion County and Alachua County next week. And so far so good. People are wearing the masks, teachers are doing their jobs, spacing out the kids. And so it's been a fun start of a week for us here in Marion County. Last but not least, Central Florida. The Swamp, University of Florida. If you haven't noticed, I'm a Gator fan, okay? All Gators, Gator shirt. Oh, you can't forget my Gator cup. So of course I have to talk about the Gators right now. They're in session and they're practicing, but the Swamp almost right across from the stadium, right there on University Avenue, they are closed down to 2022. It's so sad because you can go there and eat outside and enjoy the environment. Basically they're tearing some things down and they're creating some new stuff, and they're actually giving away a lot of the stuff to the students that are on the wall. So maybe swing by there and see what you can get. Okay. We're going to go into our Zinnia U. Remember, 4 questions, answer them, put them in the little prompter box. We're sending out $200 checks to your church or charity of choice with your name on it if you get all 4 right. And the first 2 questions come from last week's show. Remember, all of our shows are housed on Facebook, so you can always check them out later. But the first question is from last week's Zinnia U. When it comes to pensions and options to take buyouts or income streams, what did I say are some of the benefits of taking the buyout? A, more control of your money. B, more flexibility of your money. C, higher likelihood of leaving money to your beneficiaries. Or D, all of the above. Okay. Number 2, from last week's Zinnia U on pensions, which method did Dave Ramsey recommend 95% of the time? Was it A, income stream for life from your company? B, a lump sum buyout? C, either way works? Or D, he doesn't like either option? So that was question 2. Now question 3, here's a fun one. Back in the 80s, come on, we're all 80s fans. Which 80s movie did the following line come from? Life comes pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Okay, so this one's pretty easy. Is it A, Flashdance? You know what they're dancing. B, Ferris Bueller Day Off. C, The Breakfast Club. Or D, Ghostbusters. That one we made very easy for y'all. All right, and last question to get to know Charisse a little bit more. What is Charisse's favorite coffee blend, basically? Is it A, vanilla latte, B, coffee with creamer and honey, C, a cold brew, or D, decaf anything? I'm going to give you a hint. Does it look like I've been drinking coffee today? Then we probably think D is not the answer. All right, so that ends our trivia questions. You can put all 4 answers in the prompters. You have till Sunday to answer them. And hopefully some people participate. Okay, now we're getting to our Zinnia U section where I'm educating you on a lot of things that are happening. And today, the 3 retirement risks and how do we prepare for them. So there's more risks, but these are really the top of the line, in my opinion. So I want you really to follow along, maybe take some notes here. And so basically we have market risk, longevity risk, and tax risk. I'm going to start with market risk because right now we have a a market cycle that's been incredible. We had a V-shaped recovery very quickly. None of it really makes sense, but it's happening. So let's talk about the market risk. I know there's a lot of you out there that are all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, my money came back. You're like this fat cat now, and you're thinking, oh, I can make 15% again next year and 15% the next year. Though you are the ones that need to be very careful. This is the time to really start thinking, hey, do I take some chips off the table? That's only if you're nearing retirement, maybe that 5 to 10 years before retirement, and start making a plan. Don't get greedy. Fear and greed is what ruins retirement plans, and start, dialing back the range just a little bit. Doesn't mean take all the chips off the table, but this might be a good idea. So I'll tell you what Prudential said. Prudential says the average retiree will likely face 3 to 5 such bear markets in retirement. The average bear market lasts 14 months with an average loss of 33%. Okay, so let's go back to 2000, 2001, 2002. That was Y2K, planes crashing, tech bubble. Remember, that was a little over 30 months of a decline, okay? And the climb back took 5 to 6 years for a lot of people. Now let's go back to 2007 and 2009. That was a 17-month decline. That's a subprime mortgage mess. And it took 4 to 5 years for people to get back to even there. So we don't want to panic. We want to avoid risk. And the number one textbook rule when it comes to managing money, it's not what you make, it's avoiding risk, okay? And especially that is more true than ever when you're nearing retirement. Now, one thing we need to focus on when you are actually finally embarking into retirement, there's something called sequence of return risk. This is a risk for nobody else except for retirees that are actually starting to live on their money. Your dollars that you need to live on the first couple of years, you want to make sure those dollars are definitely not in the market, because when the market goes down, cardinal rule sin here is don't take money out of a devalued portfolio that goes down. That's because you'll never earn that money back, the returns off those dollars. So you hope that you have some money in the sidelines. And so this risk only happens when you pull dollars out. And the most important thing here is when you enter retirement, those first few years, you do not want any losses. You do not, okay? Especially with those dollars that you're pulling out of money. So here's the thing. What we want you to do is become an income wizard, because you have this big pile of money, and now you got to figure out what to do with it, because now you have to be, you're your own pension manager, especially if you didn't have a pension. You got to figure out how to make this money last for the rest of your life. So we want you to be an income wizard. So you're going to have Social Security that comes in, right, every month. You might even be lucky enough to have a pension. But if you don't have a pension, you're going to want to create some sort of contractual guarantee, an income that can never outlive you and that you or your spouse, right? So we want 4 paychecks in retirement: Social Security, a pension or a contractual guarantee. We want possibly maybe some dividend income, a portfolio that is giving you dividends, even with the market volatility, good stock, blue chip stuff that, you're still getting a paycheck even when markets go down. And even sometimes at that point, you might not pull out of that bucket if it got too far low, if you follow me. And then you can have a real estate investment or an interest-bearing investment. So we want different paychecks coming to you at different times, and we want to turn on these switches so we can help increase income with inflation, because most people forget to do that. So we want you to be an income wizard, and you don't need to have all your money in the stock market to do so, but we still, like some money in the stock market, because there's a potential for a lot of returns too. But remember, where there's a lot of returns, there's also a lot of risk. So you don't want all your dollars doing that, basically. So we'll see what Forbes said. Forbes recommends that you invest more than you need among stocks and bonds, especially if the stock market drops. So they're saying if the stock market drops, you're going to want more bonds. Well, clearly that's what you want. But just so you know, even in 2008, bonds were averaging a loss of somewhere around 23%. During COVID-19, when it first started, 10%. So bonds are taking losses now. Even when stock markets go up, we're seeing bonds lose because of the interest rate environment that we're in. So bonds is a new risk in yield. So you can't get a whole lot of yield from bonds anymore. So once upon a time, you retired, you put 75% in bonds, you collected the dividend. It was a perfect world. And you put 25% in the market for inflation, but you can no longer do that. So times are changing. You have to change with the times. And that's why you find a wealth manager, a financial advisor. That's what we do to help you through these different stages. Now let's see what Susie Orman says. I always love to hear from Miss Susie Orman. She basically says, you know, when you're saving money, do dollar cost averaging. And that doesn't mean just don't dump all your money once a year into your retirement account or any of your other accounts. She says, do it the same day every month like clockwork, because some months the market's going to be down and you're going to be buying those funds in your 401ks, or if you have an IRA, at a lower cost. And then some days the stocks or those funds are going to be higher, so you're going to be buying at a higher cost. But over a 12-month period, supposedly, and we've seen the math work very well this way, we have a better average. So she's a big fan of dollar cost averaging, especially if you're contributing to a retirement account, and so am I. All right, so that was market risk. I want to talk about longevity risk. Wow, longevity risk. We have more technology, more medicine, keeping people alive longer than ever. Back in the 1940s, you weren't supposed to live past 67 years old, and we have people living to 100 years old. So we have longevity risk. So how do we prepare for if we live to 90 or even 100 years old? First of all, you want to make sure that your health care is covered, because those costs are astronomical. They say you can spend up to $250,000 in health care during your retirement years over 30 years. So that's a lot. So what bucket of money are you planning for that? You want to make sure you have a long-term care plan in case you do go into a nursing home and you're there for a while. Or if you go to a nursing home, you have a spouse still at the house, they're not having to spend all the assets on your care. And so a lot of people today say, Charisse, I don't want long-term care. My parents didn't do well with it. They never used it. It was wasted. So the thinking is, if I use it, if I don't use it, I don't want to lose it. So there's other things. If you have enough savings, you don't need long-term care. You can self-pay for your long-term care. You can also buy these hybrid policies, life insurance policies. So in case you don't use it, somebody's getting a tax-free benefit. So you want to protect for longevity of your assets and your wealth transfer. Now, let's hear from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey says, make sure you're saving enough now more than ever. He says, make sure you're contributing 15% to your retirement accounts. You know, that is old school. Yes, 15% is a good number. You should be contributing 20 to 25% of your income to your retirement account if you want to retire right and if you want to keep up with inflation. So his numbers are a little off, but I will say it's a good start. What's the other thing we want to talk about here? So what age do we consider really bumping up our contribution? So let's just say you started at 5% of contributing. Every time you get a raise in your paycheck, add to your contributions with your employer plans till you get up to 25%. That's kind of a best policy. So if you're doing 5 now and you get a raise next year, it goes 6 or 7, and the next year it goes 7 or 8, and you'll start seeing money. You won't even miss the money. You just trust me on that. Okay, so you're going to be an income wizard. You're going to, so that we don't run out of money, work on long-term care planning, and make sure you're saving enough. So now let's talk about the last one, tax risk. Most people, in my experience, do not understand the tax risk they're going to have and the burden they're going to have in retirement. Most people assume in retirement your tax bracket goes down. For the most part, it does not. Some people, it actually goes up or it's the same. But then if somebody passes away, the person's still alive, you're filing single filer, and your taxes definitely go up by then. So you want to prep for taxes because Uncle Sam means business, and we want to give him the least amount as possible. So what I want to talk about now is we have the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that's going to expire in 2025. And basically, taxes are likely to go up. Give me a thumbs up, hit the like button if you think taxes might go up. I think they might go up. You know, we got a lot of printing of money. We got a lot going on right now. I don't expect them to go down. Could they stay sideways for another term? Maybe. Boy, that would be a blessing that we wouldn't really know would be coming our way, but I just don't know. I'm not so optimistic about that. So we want to work on tax maximization strategies. You know, part of that is, do we have a Roth IRA for younger and we're contributing? Even if you're in retirement, you can contribute to a Roth IRA because all of the earnings from the Roth IRA is tax-free. You can go back to one of our other Zinnia posts that we did on Facebook Live, and we talk all about Roth IRAs. And you want to use some of these other tax strategies that we use. Maybe a municipal bond. If you have a high income, that's tax-free. So we want to figure out, it's not cookie cutter and everybody has all different types of monies, but you have to be very careful because the largest bucket of money that most people save is that tax deferred bucket, because that's all the money you contribute to your 401ks and IRAs. So Forbes basically says working with a professional to ensure your money is divided in 3 buckets in retirement is the most important. They said make sure you have a taxable bucket, you have a tax deferred bucket, and a tax free bucket. So taxable bucket would be more like the TOD, the individual account. This is non-IRA. So, when things are sold in the account, you have capital gains taxes. If they're sold before 1 year, you have short-term capital gains taxes, which could be equivalent to your ordinary income taxes or higher. And then if it's over 1 year, you have long-term capital gains taxes, which is typically around 15%. But do know this. If you sell something and your tax bracket stays below the 12% tax bracket after the sale, guess what? You don't have those long-term capital gains taxes. So definitely tax loss harvesting is so important right now, because if you don't have to pay that tax, let's figure out a way to not do that. We talked about the tax deferred bucket. That is the largest bucket. People come into my office all the time, especially those before they're retiring, and now have $1 million to $2 million sitting inside this taxable bucket in their 401ks, and they're about to get hit with this ticking time bomb, I call it, the tax burden, because you are forced to pull money out of it. So I encourage people to start rolling some of that IRAs to a Roth IRA for later on down the road. And remember, we have a whole segment on that if you want to go into that. And that tax-free bucket, I would rather have more dollars in the tax-free bucket than that tax-deferred bucket. And so unfortunately, we were taught 30 years ago, we're going to get taxed on the harvest and not the seed. And the seed is what you contributed, and then it harvests and it blooms, and your money turns into millions of dollars, and now you're taxed on the millions of dollars. So let's be diversified on our buckets. Now you guys know, let's have 3 buckets of money always working for us, so we can waiver and wash out all these taxes that we have coming our way. And like I say, you're probably always going to pay taxes, but if we can lower it, that is the goal. So it's not just about protecting your income and protecting your health care and protecting your legacy. It's also about Uncle Sam. I don't want to give him any more money. Do you? I know you don't. You can just go ahead and admit that. So tax maximization strategies. If you haven't talked to somebody about it, we'd be happy to help you. And it's very important. Okay, that was the Zinnia U segment. I hope the 3 retirement mistakes to be careful of helped you today. We only have a couple of minutes left. If there's any questions you have, I can answer them right now. Just dial them up into the radar there. And if you don't, I know a lot of people said I've been answering them as I am going. But one thing I want to share with you guys is a travel tip. Everybody knows I like to travel. If I wasn't a financial advisor, I'd probably be an event planner, coordinator. Honestly, that was kind of one of my pastime ideas. I had a name for a company and everything, which was interesting, but that didn't work out, and this worked out just fine as a financial planner. But the travel tip, who one of my producers also helped me put together, is Mount Dora. I love Mount Dora. It's got the cutest charm. They have a ton of antique shops. Mount Dora is close to Orlando. It's about an hour and 45-minute drive from Gainesville, probably more like an hour from the Ocala area and Beverly Hills area, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And there's a lot to do there. They have a ton of festivals when those get up and running. But there's one antique store where they have dealers that come in there from across the country, and you can get some pretty good stuff. Renegers Antique Center, love it to death, but it's only open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, so do know that. If you're a boating enthusiast, you can do, is it Platoon Boat Tours? Interesting. That's on Lake Dora. They do sunset rides, and they do, besides sunset rides, I think that's $18 for a sunset ride. It's probably like an hour long, but then they do a 2-hour tour. It's like $28. So some things that are affordable to do and fun and outside our area without getting on an airplane or a cruise ship. There's Gilbert Park. It's a waterfront park for walkie trails and that kind of stuff. And then they have the Modernism Museum. So here's the cool thing. Right now they have the David Bowie collection, and they have a lot of his household goods in there. Unfortunately, it's closed right now. As soon as they open, I am going to be there because I love everything about David Bowie. I don't know if you guys do too, but I certainly do. And then the restaurant of choice is Crazy Gators. Crazy Gators. So I love chicken wings and salad. They have 70-cent chicken wing night on Tuesdays, and they're pretty good. So they're pretty famous for their chicken wings and their home made dessert. So that might be a great place to go visit. It's pretty laid back, so you don't have to get all fancy for that. So I think we just popped up a picture, and if you see that, you can kind of see what it looks like. It's not the best picture of it, but it's a picture. And last but not least, discount of the week. Okay, so we have some crazy discounts happening because of Labor Day weekend. AARP, you are liking AARP. They're offering a Labor Day special, 43% off their annual rate if you do their 5-year plan to get their discount. Lovely, highly recommend it. And then JCPenney's, they're also doing something. Furniture and mattresses are up to 60% off, and they're doing free delivery. So get the deal. That's the deal of the day, deal of the week. Oh, looks like we have a question. Mikey is going to tell me what the question is. To avoid penalty from SSI, do they need to start taking money from their IRAs and retirement accounts? You cannot take anything from your retirement accounts without a penalty before 59 and a half. So if you have an IRA, 401k, if you take it before 59 and a half, you do have a penalty. But I will say, SSI, Social Security, that's your insurance. If you have a health issue, they do have some rules where you can pull money out before 59 and a half without a penalty. So if you have Social Security, disability, that sort of thing. And so that is an option. So be careful, but you can take it out anytime after 59 and a half. No penalties. You do have to pay the taxes on it, of course. And so great question. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. I hope I helped today. And if you need a second opinion, you know who to contact. Go to zinniawealth.com. Remember, there's a little red book to retirement on the front page. Download it. It's for free. You can go to our education center. There's a ton of guides. I have a new unemployment 401k guide, pension guide, Social Security guide, tax guide. They're all for free. Download them. They go into great detail about what we talk about every week, every Wednesday at 3:30 here. And we're going to be working on our Medicare guide here soon. And so, again, my goal is to educate you, inspire you, get you to retirement and beyond. And if you need a second opinion or you need to have some sort of confidence and direction moving forward with your retirement plan, you know how to reach out to us. ZinniaWealth.com. Live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
She is a financial planner and advisor.
She's the founder and president of Zinnia Wealth Management. She's also a popular radio show host.
There's a way to have your money in the market and have protected growth.
This holistic approach will help people get to and through retirement.
Absolutely.
You have to change the way that you think. It's not about having these double-digit returns anymore. Things are changing, and you have to have an advisor that's keeping up with the changes.
Your outcome is going to become very desirable if you have some sort of coach helping you along the way.
And our next recipient for the Media and Communications XP, Charisse.
Charisse Rivers.
Do not have to risk all your money in the market to survive, because it's about the retirement dream.